Hey guys, so welcome back to our series where we talk about business and psychology. I'm Wycliffe.
And I'm Rita.
So if you've checked out our previous video, you know that we're talking about business in relationship to psychology, more specifically, why people procrastinate or what keeps us from achieving our goals through procrastination. And so in the previous video, we talked about a phenomenon known as time inconsistency. And so basically we discussed that and we said that this is a scenario where your present self is more interested in getting gratified right now as opposed to caring about those future rewards. Okay, so we also discussed what it means to have, a future self and a present self. And so we just said basically that the present self is the you that is right now, who is, thinking about what can I benefit right now. And the future self, we discussed and we said that the future self was basically, that version of you that has gone into your mind, has the vision of the things you want to achieve, every single thing that you've planned out, and basically that is it. So if you haven't checked out that full video, make sure you check it out. So we're gonna link it down in the description box below, and we'll put a card to it in the top right corner. So in this video, like we promised you, we want to talk about procrastination, and we want to talk about why people actually procrastinate. What are the excuses that people make, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the words we're going to talk about, or what you're going to hear on this video today, are just some of the words that people use or that you use when you are trying to procrastinate, or when you're trying to make an excuse so that you don't do a certain task right now. So I'll start with the first one, which I struggle with personally, and that is, there are other people out there who are more knowledgeable than me. And that's a real struggle. That has been a real struggle for me, basically mostly because from my personality, I'm the kind of person that I love research. I love research a lot, and I love being being on top of things, or knowing what I'm talking about, or what I'm putting out there is something that I really understand. And sometimes because of that particular personality, I found myself feeling like sometimes as an imposter. And on the last video we talked about imposter syndrome.
Right.
So when you feel like other people out there are more knowledgeable than you, you'll find that in most cases you will start procrastinating or postponing what you need to be doing. So you'll find that let's say, for example, you are a salesperson or a marketer, for example, but you are passionate about baking or pastry making, and because you never went to a catering school, or you were never taught by a professional pastry chef, and you've just been teaching yourself on YouTube, you find yourself feeling like, if I put my cakes out there, if I put my recipes out there, and if I tell people I make cakes, there are other people who make better cakes than me,
because they know more.
Yeah, and who are more knowledgeable than me. And you'll find yourself that you'll never start that cake business, no matter how well you know how to bake. And your cakes will only will only be eaten by your family members. That's your husband, your brothers,
Your mom,
your
dad.
wives. They're the only people who will enjoy your food. But you'll never get to that point where you want to start, you want to actually start and go for it. So, for example, there's an organization that Wycliffe and I run, and it's called Together Let Us Fight Cancer. And here, in that organization, we mostly focus on the psychosocial aspect in oncology. And when before we started, before that organization was born, or it was a thought that I had in my head. And it took some time for me to actually take the first step and start an Instagram page, start a YouTube channel where I talk about it, because I felt like I'm not trained in psycho-oncology. I might be a psychologist, but I'm not professionally trained in psycho-oncology.
Right.
And I procrastinated that a lot until Wycliffe here told me to actually, I need to start, and I need to start now, because if I continue saying I'll start when I go and get a master's and a PhD degree in that area, of which I will, but if I continue doing that, then it will take years before I actually start and start learning what I need to learn right now to be able to prepare myself for the future self. So how have I like coped with it? For example, with feeling like other people are more knowledgeable than me, is basically knowing that if you're passionate about something, you can actually learn everything there is to learn about that thing, and you can start learning now, and you don't need to be professionally trained right now for you to start. So just start and stop procrastinating.
Yeah, actually, about Together Let Us Fight, when you started that and I told you that you needed to get started right now, that was back when I used to listen to a lot of Gary Vee. I don't know if any of you have seen any of Gary Vee's videos, but he's one of the people that, talks about getting started and getting started right now. It's really important. And so this brings us to the next excuse that sometimes we make. I don't have all the necessary tools, or I don't have the right tools. That's excuse number 2. So when it comes to not having the right tools when starting a business, there are many types of tools that are necessary when it comes to starting a business. And for us, digital entrepreneurship, that could be anything from having the right type of, having a website, for instance, and having, when it comes to YouTube here, you might say, I don't have the perfect camera, I don't have the right laptop, I don't have the right editing tools, and all of that stuff. In real sense, if you have something, start with what you have. Start with what you have. Even if it's just that thought in your mind, it's enough, because you can, if you're really passionate about what you want to do, you'll always find a way of making it work. So you need to start with what you have. And so this is also something that we've struggled with, but we've managed to cope. For example, on YouTube here, a lot of people have messaged us, from TechHood, wondering what kind of camera we use to shoot our videos. And I don't know how high quality it looks, but we shoot actually on our phone. It's an Infinix phone S4. But even before we started using this phone to shoot our YouTube videos, we were shooting on a different phone, still an Infinix phone, to create our YouTube videos. You can see what that video looked like here on the screen right now. So that's like one of our first videos. That's what it looked like. That's what the footage looked like. But we didn't let that stop us, okay? Even when it comes to creating a website, I remember back when we were starting to, think that we needed to get our website live, and we didn't have, the necessary tools to make our website. I was on Google trying to figure out what are the methods that I can use to create a website from scratch just using my phone. And I remember running across several different platforms, and so there are a million websites that we created. Well, not really a million, but a lot of them, before we landed on TechHood 254 website that you can see over here. And this is something that we taught ourselves how to do. And so in whichever industry that you're in, there's always somewhere where you can start. We always say, we're huge proponent of the thought that it's not the resources that matter, but it's your resourcefulness that actually counts for more. So if you're resourceful, you can start with what you have, and you will eventually be able to get the resources or tools that you need to move forward. So procrastinating, as far as not having the tools, it's not the best excuse, it's not a good excuse, but it's one of the ones that people use.
Yeah, exactly. And talking about tools, I would like to add that most people think about perfection, and most people are perfectionists, and sometimes perfectionist can be being a perfectionist can be a really bad thing, because it will always put you in a position where you look at every nitty-gritty detail, even if that detail doesn't really matter. And sometimes that can stop you from doing so much, because you'll always think about but my face is not so clear on this footage, or my phone is not clear, my background sucks. So you'll never make that video, no matter how much you want to talk about something, no matter how knowledgeable you are about something, you'll never start to talk about it. You will never see yourself like going to a platform where you talk about things with people who are listening to you, because you're always worried about every nitty-gritty detail, wanting to sound perfect, wanting to have the right dress code. Sometimes those things really pull you back. And another
and let me just cut you off real quick. Who gets to choose what perfect is? You thinking it's perfect, and this is where psychology comes in now. You thinking that what these guys look like is perfect. It's because you're comparing yourself to somebody else.
Yeah.
What people actually need to hear from you is the information that you have. It's what's in between here. When you're sharing information with people, or when you're starting a business, what people are looking for is what's in between your ears. That's, you're trying to solve a problem. And so if you're going digital, then that's a progressive thing, okay? You might be thinking about, like she said, your background isn't the best. backgrounds don't matter. People, there's, you know, it depends on what kind of videos you're trying to shoot, but backgrounds don't really matter. So you don't have to beat yourself over the head saying, you know, I don't have a bokeh background, I still can't blur my background, or I don't have this backdrop from Amazon, or that type of nonsense. It will just stop you from getting to that place where you need to go.
Yeah, exactly.